my gosh, Mike, you were my all-time favorite story. Okay, Mike. You should come up. You want to come up and tell your story? Like all the stories I heard, yours was always my favorite. Always. Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna bring him up and then we'll do the thank you read after this, guys. Hey, how are you?
Doing good today. How are you?
I'm good. You know, I always thought Mike, that's in here now, Mike K. I always thought in the beginning that was you, but then I could never remember what your whole name was, you know. But your story is amazing. So if you want to share it with everybody, they would appreciate it, I'm sure. It's absolutely amazing.
I appreciate you asking me up. I've tried to connect with you a few times. I really enjoy what you do, but I feel like my timing's been off with you.
Yeah, yeah. But there's always a reason and reason for when we connect and all that. So that's awesome.
Well, I feel like right now it just changed. It's we're on the same timeline now, so I appreciate it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, I'll put my end on mute and I'll let you tell everybody the story. So, well, before, does everybody know what an NDE is in here? A near-death experience? He's going to tell us his experience of his NDE. Okay, I think I will mute my end. I'm not sure how to do that. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, my name is Michael and I was born and raised in San Diego. And when I was 22 years old, I was in a motorcycle accident that I passed away from. And I'll just kind of go through it. And I was at a stoplight that's very close to, literally, maybe a half a mile from where I'm living right now, where I'm sitting right now. And I was at a stoplight and the light was red for me. And I was the next vehicle to go through the light, and I was rear-ended from behind by a drunk driver, and never really felt the impact. Felt some movement, but not the impact. There was a protection there that was pretty amazing, and I found myself floating above a body. There's a bus stop, and I was basically felt like I was at the height at the top of the bus stop, and I was looking at this body in the street, and it ended up being mine, but I didn't really recognize myself because I think about this so much. I can only assume that we only see ourselves in like one dimension, you know, a mirror or a picture. And to see yourself in 3D, I just absolutely didn't recognize that this person laying in the street was me. And the very moment that I realized, oh, that's me, I started shooting up into the sky. And incredibly fast. Felt like I was in an elevator that was just going supersonic speed. I didn't really have any visuals at that point. Before all this, I always forget this part, but this is the most important part. Before all this, I was an atheist. Didn't believe that anything existed. Didn't know what would exist. And didn't put much time into thinking about it. And after this experience, that all changed. But I shot up into the sky and kind of came to incredibly quick. I mean, just supersonic speed. And so it's like, I don't know where I went, but I went there a long way and very fast. And when I got there, I was just surrounded by this amazing light that was incredibly, incredibly bright, but not uncomfortable at all. It was just amazing. And the love and acceptance was just beautiful. And I was standing with all I can say is God. And the God that I encountered was big enough to be all gods that whatever religions we've come up with here, it was big enough to be all of those, Buddha, Christ. And my point behind that is that I believe no matter what your beliefs are, if it gets you closer to God, that's what God is doing. Anyway, this God that I encountered and never even believed in was just so humongous and so big that he was every God that you can imagine. And from that moment, I had a life review that went from that day backwards, which always sounds silly, but I heard it's pretty common. From that day backwards, and I relived what I believe was every moment, every thought in my entire life, and how those thoughts or actions affected others. And before this experience, I wasn't thoughtful of others. I don't believe that I understood what caring was about. And in this moment, I realized how every action that you do affects others. And it could be a good action and feel amazing, or it could be something that's kind of disappointing and it's hurtful. And you feel these emotions. What I was feeling was so incredibly quick that my emotions were just bouncing back and forth from amazing to just complete disappointment. And when I could have done better, the judgment, people talk about like Judgment Day or the judgment is actually what I experienced was me judging myself with this God again that I never even believed in. And I'm standing there knowing when I could have done better, or when I did amazing, or when I did terrible. Yeah, and the pain is deep. But the joy is amazing when you've done what you're supposed to do. I feel like I'm rambling, but there was only 2 moments in my life in my life review that I remembered and brought back with me. During this time, there was just like this knowledge, which I would just call complete knowledge. There was no communication, no questions that I had to ask of this God because I already knew the answer. Which is takes a lot off your shoulders, just wondering or questioning things. And to have that complete knowledge during this short time was very, very, I guess, enlightening. Unfortunately, I didn't bring a lot of that knowledge back with me, but there were 2 moments in my life review that I get so emotional about it because it's just so real. But one of them was literally holding the door for somebody. And I felt like I had done everything I was supposed to do in life in that moment. And the other one even sounds more silly, and every time I tell the story, it just seems silly, but because of its silliness, it really shows me what's important. And the other one was that I was walking out of a movie theater just about getting to the lobby and realized I shouldn't have left my garbage underneath my seat. So I walked back up and I picked up like my popcorn and my soda and anything else we had left, and I dropped it in the trash can. And again, it was as though that was the entire reason I had been put here on this planet. And it just really showed me that life is about very little about us and more about others. And it's absolutely changed everything I do and the way I live. But at that moment, I started all that distance that I had shot up into the sky. I started falling, and it was a long ways. And that was the first time during this experience that I felt any fear, because I didn't know what it was going to feel like when I hit bottom. And I was falling very fast. And when I did hit bottom, I meaning back into my body, it was like abrupt but not painful, but very sudden. And I believe that was the moment that they resuscitated me in the back of this ambulance. And it had been 18 minutes from the original 911 call until that moment when they resuscitated me. And yeah, that was kind of the end of the story.
That is awesome. You know what I loved about, I mean, thank you for sharing that with us, but the first time I heard that, I thought the little things you do, the holding the door and picking up your trash. I've always tried telling people, everybody's like, oh, what's my purpose? What? We don't have this huge purpose. You know, like you said, it could be holding that door. And you know, every since I heard that story, when I am in a public place, I hold that door. And it's kind of crazy. I think the same thing. It's stupid. Why do I keep doing this? But I do it every time I think of you and I think of God. Every single time I use a public place, I hold that door. Not so I can get brownie points, but it just, to me, something that small of a gesture can really change somebody's day. It really can, you know.
Absolutely. And then they'll hold the door for the next person, which may hold the door for two other people, and within, or share a smile with somebody. It's literally that.
Yes.
And,
Yes. One little thing could, a chain reaction, make somebody else's life a lot better for that day or something, you know. So did you and I know this is stuff like we're not supposed to ask, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So you was up there with God. I mean, did he talk to you at all?
No, and that's kind of what I was saying about there was no questions. There was a telepathy there that
Right.
any question I may have had, I don't even remember registering that I asked him anything.
Okay. Yeah.
But I believe I knew it all, which just sounds pompous as shit. But
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
there was an absolute knowledge that I wish that, we wish that we'd be able to bring all that back with us, but we can't.
Right.
And there was just an absolute knowledge that absolutely affects the way I handle every situation in my life now. And I'm not amazing, but
Right. Right.
I'm thoughtful, because
Right.
it's truly just being thoughtful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And during your life review, I've always wondered, I mean, it's not pain, right? You're just feeling their emotions. There's the sadness that you may have caused other people and stuff like that.
It's emotions. It's emotions, but the pain in those emotions is incredible. And I believe that literally, I've never broken it down this much, but there's a difference between doing something that might be wrong and we'll just call it wrong,
Mm-hmm.
or doing something that's is wrong. Shiloh, please. Doing something that is wrong. Sometimes let's imagine if we didn't know that lying is wrong and we told a lie.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be okay, but we didn't know any better. But then once you understand what a lie is, when you tell a lie, there's a different consequence because now you know better, and it's part of our growth. But there was some incredible, I would call it pain. It's emotional pain. There's no physical pain that I felt, but I literally could believe. And I never want to step on anybody's beliefs or religion.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the God that I interacted with was big enough to be all of them.
Well, Mike, I tell you, and that's kind of part of the story too, because like a lot of your story related to a lot of what Spirit has told me through the years. Okay. Now, I'm not like Bible thumping this and that. I believe in God. I believe there's a heaven. I used to believe there was a hell. I personally don't believe that now. Kind of on the fence with it.
Sorry to interrupt. That's where I was going. I don't believe there's a physical hell.
Not like you're taught in churches, a burning hell where you're going to suffer.
Yeah.
No.
And that's where I was heading, but I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Go ahead. But I mean, you agree there's not a cast into hell, the burning hell and burning and torture for the rest of eternity, right? You don't believe in that anymore either.
Nothing that I experienced would even lead me to believe in that.
Right.
What I experienced was that I had this complete knowledge, and if I will, I think there's a place with fire and isn't what I experienced. It's real hard to say that I came back and don't remember everything, but tell you, I don't believe that there's a hell.
Right.
I believe that the hell that I experienced could have been just doing things not as good as you could have, or treating people badly. I believe that could be hell. And imagine being somebody that's hurt many people, or just killed millions of people. That could be a hell, that standing in front of a God, whether you believed in them or not, that could be a hell that's incredibly painful.
Right. And a lot of people may think, and I'm the same way, no judgment on religion. I don't get hung up on that anymore. But if you think of like people that's going to burn in hell type of thing, that would be people that are bad to kids or, unalive other people, and then atheist, right? I mean, honestly, if you think of it that way, if you don't believe in God, how can you get there? And I love how your story proved that like God doesn't, he loves us all, and he understands. Like, you went there and you didn't believe in him, and he showed you it was real. He was real. And I also, what I was getting at, part of your story resonated with me. Like I said, like what Spirit has told me. I went to church. I was taught that there's a burning hell. I was scared of God. That's what they teach you in churches. And then Spirit finally made me realize years ago when I first started doing this, I was hung up. I had read an atheist that had passed, and I almost stopped doing readings because I thought, I'm not connecting to the right people, the wrong side. I'm connecting people in hell. So I was worried, And Spirit told me, they said, religion doesn't even exist up there at all. It's not even, it don't matter. They said you can believe in God, Buddha, not believe in God, this and that, blah, blah, all these different things. But when we get there, it's all the same person. They told me, Debbie, even if somebody walks up to you and tells you that they worship a frog, you accept them, and you be nice to them. And I'm like, a frog? Frog? You know? They said, yeah, because it doesn't matter. We all just have a different name for him. That's all it is. That's all it is. So when you were talking about that before, I thought
I'm sorry. Who told you that?
spirit world when I was doing
Okay.
readings.
All
Yeah.
right. Cool.
And I thought I was crazy. I'm thinking all this in my head. I've lost my mind, you know. But that is so true. Like, and I don't like telling people, oh, you know, going to church don't matter. I mean, do what you want to do. Do what you want to do. But the most important thing is the relationship that you have. But then again, with God. But then again, I find it amazing someone like you that didn't even believe in him, and he still was welcoming and loving, and you know, right? You were going to go to the other side. So it just proves that people here on earth, plain and simple, don't know what they're talking about when a lot of times when it comes to religion and stuff, you know. That's my opinion of it. So yeah, like Abra says, church is in your heart. The building is for a status. Yep.
Yeah, and it's a weird thing because we all, I believe it's all of our mission is to get close to God. We've all got a different route that we get there.
Yep.
And it's, again, like I said, the God I experience is definitely big enough to be all of them. It's crazy that so many deaths have come from different religions, but there's so many different religions, and they're right or wrong, their whole purpose is to get people closer. So whatever it takes for each of us to get there, it's great. It's crazy that so many wars have been fought over. Without getting, political about it, but it's just
I know.
crazy.
I know.
But we're all getting there. We're all on our way.
Yep. And the whole purpose, like all these NDEs that I hear, it's not, I mean, yes, God we're supposed to believe and love and this and that in God and this and that. But their biggest message when they come back is just love. Love one another, be kind, you know? And that's, I don't know, that's just always amazing to me, I think. That's, you know.
Yeah. I know you mentioned something, if you don't mind.
No,
this is absolutely. So I've only really been on this journey of I don't know. I'll share real quickly a little bit, but after my experience, I came back to this life and went through a recovery process. But as soon as I came back, I just wanted to live after having this near-death experience. Just wanted to live, but then it didn't take long for this gift for me to turn it into a curse. And I wanted to be there so badly that I lived 30 something years with depression after that experience, which really kind of flipped the whole gift that I had been given. And instead,
what was that? Now, being on the other live, we've learned that a lot of people do come back with gifts. What gift did you come back with?
Oh, I meant the gift of the near-death experience.
Oh, okay.
I believe I changed. I don't know which of my gifts came from that, but what I meant was I was given this huge gift of being able to see how my life affects others. And I turned it into a curse somehow and wanted to be there so badly because it felt so good that this was a hard place for me to be. So I 30 years of depression, got some help through therapy and kind of understood it a little better. It was only like 6 or 7 months ago that I started going back to therapy because I started getting depressed again. And when I started going back to therapy, the first, all of these issues come from this amazing gift, the near death experience. So I shared that with my therapist, and we talked about NDEs for 4 weeks in a row.
Mm-hmm.
But she said, the first night, she said, you got to share your story, and this happened to me in 1992, and there was no internet. There was no way to look up a near death
Right.
experience. Um, my therapist was like, you got to share this story. And I think literally it was that night that I came on TikTok and came across Invisible. I feel like it was that same
Really?
night, maybe the next day. And and I was able to share and realize this purpose that I've looked for all this time in
Mhm.
my life, and thought it had to be something so big, may just be sharing that story and being thoughtful of others.
Mhm.
And I believe that that's all of our missions that we search for. It's just loving others and being thoughtful.
Yep. 100%.
But
100%.
we're looking for this amazing thing. What was my life purpose? You know what? Maybe just holding the door was your life
Holding the
purpose.
door. And I'm telling you, I will remember that to the day I die. I will. And I've even thought, man, if he ever wrote a book, he should title it Hold the Door. Or Please Hold the Door or something like that. Because to me that was just such a, I don't know about others, but to me that just shows exactly it has no, it doesn't have to be big like you said. It could be something as simple as holding that door. It's just amazing. I don't
Yeah,
know.
for
I
sure.
just loved it. Now was the therapist? Well, obviously, it sounds like they were open to accepting what you told them. But did you have you ran across anybody that doesn't believe it, or especially in the medical field, sometimes they wouldn't. Was it hard to find a
I never
therapist
have
that believed you?
nobody. No, no, um,
Good.
no. I've had a couple. I've had some great therapists, and
Good.
and they were all real accepting of my stories.
Good. Awesome. I've told one doctor in my life that I communicate with the other side, and they went, I won't put that in your files. And I went, never again will I tell a doctor that I communicate with the other side. But yeah. Um, what was the other thing I was going to ask? Does anybody in chat have anything to ask them? Little things, feel the pain. Ask that one. Did you end up with a lot of injuries from this, or did you fully recover?
I broke my back in 3 places. My pelvis and my right hip were in bad shape. My leg, there was a compound fracture that just below my knee. That was one of the things when I was looking at my body from above. I didn't recognize myself, but I recognized that guy's legs shouldn't be twisted up backwards like that.
Right.
And then that was when I kind of realized that was me. But yeah, it took. But you know what? I feel like the recovery could have been a lot worse. It took me 9 heavy months to recover from a lot of my stuff, but I'm fully okay now, and I
Right.
and ride daily,
Good.
and
I was going to ask that. Do you still ride?
I do, and it's hard to understand. But at this point in my life, I've lost everybody that was important to me has passed away
Mm-hmm.
recently. Um, and I hate to say it that way because my 2 daughters are still here. But
Yeah.
one of the things I realized that I really missed was riding motorcycles, and it brings me some joy.
Yeah.
That I don't know, it's real hard to explain, but
Yeah.
I
No, I
love it.
understand it. I mean, you gotta still live life. And I mean, horrible as it is, the worst that could happen is you would just go back there, right? To where you want to go. Um, Also, you saying you were depressed after and this and that. I watch a lot of NDE stories, and I have for years. And that is one thing that most of them say they're so depressed afterward. They go through a big depression stage afterwards because they want to go back there, you know. So some in chat are asking, did you come back with any abilities?
Um, that's a question that when I do share, a lot of people ask, and I feel that I'm in touch with others in a way that I don't know. Maybe they call it an empath,
Empath?
and I don't know that that's related. I don't. I know that before my experience, I could give a shit about anybody else.
Yeah.
After this experience, my thoughts are different, and the way I feel is different. But I don't know how to categorize what gift that is.
Yeah.
I just
I'm sure
I
you are. I'm sure you are empath now, and um, I think the biggest gift is being able to come back and tell this story to everybody. I think it's just absolutely amazing. I really do. Let's see, whatever. What else did everyone say? See, I
but I
feel
see
like
how
if I
other
had
people leave the.
what?
You've heard a lot about people being depressed, but when I've heard other stories on here, I'm not hearing that part. But I just kind of related to when I tell my story, it just goes right past that part. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I catch myself because that is a huge part that I
Yeah.
forget how depressed. And so I think a lot of people don't share that part because I've never heard it from anybody else, but I hear from other people that are
Yeah.
catching that part that tell me that it's pretty common.
Well, for one,
Uh,
because I'm big on being open about if you have depression, and I think people with depression, I'm one of them. They just kind of get thrown to the side. So I don't know if people just feel more comfortable telling me because they know I suffer from depression. I'm on meds for depression. And a lot of times people look down on that. But um, Diane says she had depression after her NDE. My cousin that's in here is a nurse, and she's done CPR on a lot of people, and she's actually been like doing the CPR, bring them back, and she said their first thing they look up and they're like, why the hell did you bring me back? That type of
yeah.
thing. Yeah, yeah. And she said I'm pretty sure she said they're depressed afterwards. So that's very common because you go, I think, from that great place back to here. And like somebody said in chat, I too believe that this is hell, so to speak. Earth is hell, in a way. Yeah, but what do I know? She's the one that's my cousin that's a nurse. She goes, yeah, they are depressed after being revived. If they've been seen the other side. Michelle, you did too? Yeah, so it's common. It's very common.
It's crazy because I had gone again. This happened in 1992, and the only person I shared it with was my mother, and she always had a big library, and she walked into her library, and this is 1992, and she walked in and came back with a little paperback and handed it to me, and it was a book called Life After Life by Dr. Raymond Moody,
Mm-hmm.
and he had done the original research on near death and yeah, I guess discovering or
Yeah.
doing research into near death experiences.
Yeah.
So that helped me.
I don't know if I've actually read that one, but I've read and I don't like to read, but if I get a good book on NDE, I just won't come. I'll just stay with it till I read it all. Um, the very first one, I think Heaven is for Real got me kind of started. I didn't realize people were writing about it because, like you said, back in the day, there wasn't internet and stuff for people to talk about it. And then I also read one. Is it called 7 or 9 Minutes in Heaven or something like that? Absolutely amazing. I think that's the one where the guy gets in the bad car wreck and they pronounce him dead. Have you read that one?
I've heard of it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, is
They
it?
pronounced him dead, had him covered. A priest was caught in the traffic from the wreck, and he came up. He felt this urge. He said something kept telling him to go up and pray for the guy, whoever's
Yeah.
in the wreck. And he had to dig in there underneath the tarp and was praying on this guy. And he said it was like such an overbearing thing to get out and do this for this guy. And when he was praying on him, he woke back. The guy came back.
Wow.
And this whole journey, this guy's whole story, it was amazing. And
I'll
then
check it out. The story sounds familiar, but I'll check it out and see.
yeah, they made a movie about it, but the book is so much better.
All
So
right.
much better. And then there was also one called I don't know what it's called. I can't remember the name of it, but it was written by a neurosurgeon, and he said he had so many patients that would be like, "Oh, I died and I came back," and he said, "No, you didn't. That's just your mind. It's just he never believed in it." And he got sick with I think it was meningitis or something, and he passed away and had an NDE. And he even when he woke up, like because he was pretty much brain dead, there was no activity in his head, in his brain. So he came back and he told his story, but then he was also in the book, he was talking about he scientifically proved it was not just his brain making this up, And he also was an atheist.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. So there's a lot of good books out there about it. So, but yeah. But I'm glad that you